This week, we're finally discussing our greatest living movie star, Thomas Maypother himself, and Jamie Foxx in Michael Mann's 2004 crime classic, Collateral. This is Boy Party. Do you believe in Humpty Dumpty? Do you believe in Santa Claus? Hello, everybody. Welcome to Boy Party, the podcast about movies where two major stars share the screen. My name is Lucian, and I'm joined by the guy who just got in the back of my taxi. He's very handsome. He has a wonderful haircut, but I think he's up to no good. It's Shane Kelly.
How are you?
We
how are you?
have made it to 44 episodes without discussing Mr. Thomas Cruise on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of the intimidating prospect of picking one Tom Cruise Boy Party movie to discuss.
Also a man who has few equals,
but also there's a decent, 3 or 4 very good options for a Boy Party episode with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
They are films that we have considered at a number of points, and I think we just keep accidentally ticking the other actors from those movies off. So, for example, Edge of Tomorrow, I think, is a Boy Party, just about. We did Emily Blunt. Color of Money is a film we're not particularly enthused to talk about, I feel like, even though it does have one of the great Boy Party posters.
Mm-hmm.
Newman, Cruise, The Color of Money. Newman we're going to definitely do soon in another movie. Then you've got Rain Man, which is just a really awful film. And also Hoffman, there's other options there, although we haven't done them yet. And then you've got Lions for Lambs with Streep and Redford, who we've obviously done both. So you're
I think
sort of
there's a bit of a balance here of like doing things people have seen and might have affection for.
I think this movie is probably a good case of Tom Cruise in a movie, not as the protagonist and existing as the plot driver.
Yeah.
Kind of, he's the villain. He's the villain. He's the sort of
he's proactive. He's not the reactive.
Yeah, and he's definitely not the eyes through which the story is told.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is extremely rare in a Tom Cruise film, and maybe the only other films that's the case of his are Magnolia and Lions for Lambs, where the film is about somebody going to Tom Cruise and experiencing him as a force of nature. Yeah. I suppose Tropic Thunder also, but in Magnolia you've got this situation where a journalist shows up to interview him and then sort of brings to him this situation with his father, and then he gets pulled into that by Philip Seymour Hoffman, and that movie is about witnessing Tom Cruise responding to those stimuli. And then in Lions for Lambs, he plays a Republican politician who's being interviewed by a journalist who has exposed some scandal, and he's kind of slowly unraveling as he's that film's not as interesting as I'm making it sound, but he's slowly unraveling. And these are movies where Tom Cruise's kind of inherent creepiness and his kind of scary side are really tapped into. And Collateral is the apex of that. Mm-hmm. Just an incredible bit of casting to have him play this guy who is initially so charming, lovely company, very quickly within a few minutes of being in Jamie Foxx's taxi in this movie, he pivots to being the scariest fucking guy you've ever met. And I think that is a fantastic use of Tom Cruise, who is a guy that many people in the world are pretty scared of, for both good and
in reality, I think he's absolutely terrifying. You see the way he acts.
He's a terrifying and unnatural person.
Interviewers and people who squirt him with water.
The squirting with water thing is like the best case of him snapping into Vincent mode in real life.
Yeah.
Like, for those who haven't seen it, what happens in the clip?
There's a red carpet event and there's a barrier, and I think he comes over to sign an autograph or take a photo, and a man squirts him.
Yeah.
Does he have a flower on his jacket?
Yeah, it's
one of the classic
a goofy
comedy
prank.
gag.
Yeah.
And Tom just basically responds with, "Why would you do that?
He's got this like smile on his face.
I come over here to do something nice with you, and you squirt me with water. You're a jerk."
Yeah, this absolutely furious grimace on his face,
and this man is in tears.
He's so scared.
He sulks away and he can't leave. Tom just keeps going.
I can't think of anything worse than Tom Cruise getting mad at me. And of course he did have that little outburst on the set of Mission a couple of years ago where people weren't following the COVID guidelines. And he started screaming at people, and ultimately like the media tried to turn that into an anti-Tom Cruise thing, and I think most people took his side. It was like,
because I think ultimately he was continuing to pay these people's wages throughout COVID.
Yeah, I mean, like he was, I don't think Tom Cruise.
He was genuinely concerned with the safety of his crew.
I don't think
believe.
Tom Cruise making a movie during COVID is some great charitable act. Like he tried to make it out. I mean, they made a movie because he wanted to paint himself as the fucking messiah, Ethan Hunt, and also make a lot of money. But certainly, I don't think yelling at someone for not following COVID guidelines is ever going to necessarily come across as like an evil thing to do, just a sanctimonious thing to do.
And again, it wasn't.
He didn't like
considering he's the scariest man in the world. He doesn't get hysterical.
No, he's under control, much more so than Christian Bale on the Terminator freak out. Because Christian Bale ultimately has the vibes of like a 1800s London Dickensian alcoholic homeless guy, whereas Tom Cruise is just like Mr. probably goes to 25 Scientological therapy sessions a week called like how to be a leader,
control your inner
self, leadership, how to be, but the
also
perfect
again,
man.
You wouldn't have experienced this, but as someone who has experienced competitive sporting environments,
that's the kind of shouting you get in sports environments. Yeah, that's like
Roy Keane
bullshit.
Routinely does that to people, not TV people he works with, but when involved in football.
But certainly Tom Cruise has managed to go a long and highly a career under great scrutiny without developing a reputation for being a guy who shouts, a guy who is nasty to people, really abusive in any way within, in
professional settings.
And I think that's impressive for a guy who clearly is hiding a lot of weird stuff in his private life, that he is actually seems to be kind of
remarkably disciplined
and pleasant and professional. And the guys that he develops professional relationships with really last. And you see that he now has this like partnership bordering on marriage with Christopher McQuarrie, who he has just like lived with for the last 5 years, the most divorced man alive.
Would you almost call it a bit of a cult?
A cult, yeah, maybe. Like he's super divorced, as we all know.
Yeah,
double divorced to two beautiful women, Katie Holmes and Nicole Kidman, and Christopher McQuarrie and him are just like roomies now, and it's hilarious. And then Doug Liman loves working with him.
Friend of the show, your editor buddy,
Eddie Hamilton.
Is he one of the regulars?
He's Christopher McQuarrie's guy. Yeah, he seems to get on well with him. I'm trying to think of other, like, I guess in terms of the directors he works with, he doesn't maintain relationships with the people we want him to, like Paul Thomas Anderson and such. But he is about to make this movie that I'm very excited about, even though maybe I should temper my expectations, and that's the new Alejandro González Iñárritu movie, in which he plays the most powerful man in the world. And it co-stars Riz Ahmed and Michael Stuhlbarg and what's her name? Academy Award nominee Sandra Hüller.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it could be 5 stars or 1 star and nothing in between. I think a Iñárritu movie with Tom Cruise is a fascinating concept. People got mad when it was announced, like, why is Cruise wasting his time with Iñárritu? I'm sorry. He's
a real man with real ideas.
That is a real filmmaker, whether you like him or not. He has ideas. And Tom Cruise hasn't made a movie with an auteur in like 15 to 20 years. If you don't want him to just be doing Doug Liman and Mission Impossible shit on and off, you've got to accept that he's going to work with one of these Mexican guys that maybe isn't your favorite. But like, that movie is going to look great.
Yeah.
Chivo Lubezki is filming it. It's going to look great. He's going to be on screen with Michael Stuhlbarg, a thing I have dreamed about for years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be at very least quite interesting. I mean, personally, I would rather him work with him than be working with, fucking Yorgos Lanthimos or something. Like,
sure.
Like, I quite like Iñárritu. I think he's got a lot of potential to make.
I think Tom Cruise would break a Yorgos film.
God, imagine him in the fisheye frame.
He just acknowledged it and be like, why is this fisheye?
I know. So Cruise, around the time of Collateral, because obviously we're not going to go through his entire career in this episode, because we'll talk about him again on further episodes. But he, in the kind of years leading up to Collateral, I feel like it's interesting to look at how we got to this point, because really this is right at the end of his brilliant run of like, I'm going to take risks with cool filmmakers.
Yeah.
And this is when he makes basically all of his best films that aren't about Ethan Hunt. So he gets his kind of big Oscar nomination run is in the mid-90s, where he gets nominated for Jerry Maguire, he gets nominated for the Born on the 4th of July, and he gets nominated for Magnolia. But he's doing really fun stuff. He does A Few Good Men, great Rob Reiner, Aaron Sorkin drama, obviously. I'm not his biggest fan, but it's a great role for him. Then he's in The Firm, which is not a really good movie, but if you told me today that Tom Cruise was going to be in like a legal thriller with Gene Hackman, based on a whatever that guy's name is who writes all the Grisham novel, you'd lose your shit. Then he does Interview with the Vampire, Neil Jordan, vampire, sexy gothic thing with Brad Pitt. Incredible bit of casting.
Yeah.
Then he's in The First Mission, then Jerry Maguire, then Eyes Wide Shut, Magnolia. In the same year, he does those two movies, which are two incredible films. He's, of course...
are they his two best?
Eyes Wide Shut is growing on me with time. It's not my favorite, but Magnolia is his best film and his best performance by far for me. Frank T.J. Mackey, he's the original, Andrew Tate, I suppose. He's this male sexual dominance influencer is the best way to put it.
He's kind of a dating coach /
he does
I'll make you a man
He does these seminars on like how to control your bitches, basically.
Yeah.
And it's like it's such a great bit of like self-awareness from Cruise as well, because it's like we don't get a sense of Cruise's attitudes in general to like women and the world and this kind of thing. In this movie, it is such a perfectly tuned performance of a misogynist that you're like, Tom Cruise might have his issues with women.
You can't do this by accident, though.
Yeah, but he must have an incredible handle on sexist dynamics in relationships, perhaps from his own experience.
Yeah.
Because this performance is really locked into something very special there. And I don't think someone like Joaquin Phoenix or Sean Penn would be able to do this performance, or Daniel Day-Lewis would be able to do this performance. I think you need to be the level of crazy that Tom Cruise is to be able to deliver this performance, but perfectly calibrated crazy. It's wonderful. It's such a great role. He's not the lead of the film as well, which helps. He's one of maybe 6 main characters.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of spends 10 minutes with him and then goes off and gets distracted for 25 minutes with John C. Reilly and Philip Seymour Hoffman and Julianne Moore, and then kind of comes back to him again. And it's just such an incredible way of like...
the performance isn't diluted at all by kind of meaningless scenes featuring
not at
him
all.
doing mundane
it's
things.
only the best stuff.
Yeah.
And PTA like uses his energy to like pull the movie back to being high energy when it starts to lull. It's incredible use of him. Then Mission Impossible 2, which is maybe the worst movie he's ever been in.
No.
What's the worst movie he's ever been in? It's probably Rain Man.
Do you think Mission Impossible is worse than like the Jack Reacher films? Or
I think Mission Impossible 2 is worse than the Jack Reacher films. Yeah.
Okay.
At least the Jack Reacher films have like procedural lawyer bullshit in them. Mission Impossible 2 is just like fucking, it's like a music video. Like, it's a 2-hour Limp Bizkit music video.
Swordfish.
It is like Swordfish.
Yeah.
Then he's in Vanilla Sky, which I feel like has been mentioned on 3 consecutive episodes.
Yeah, it was our credits game film of the week.
Everything I just said about Magnolia applies to Vanilla Sky.
But just slightly.
Incredibly locked in portrayal of a very narcissistic, misogynistic guy. That is a movie about a guy
Sorry, this also applies to Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, it does. It does. In Vanilla Sky, I mean, that's a movie you just have to see yourself, folks, including you, Shane.
Yeah.
He just plays a guy who's like recreating album covers, and then he has a facial deformity and he wears a mask and it scares everybody. And then he finds out he's living in a lucid dream that he paid for because he's rich.
Yeah.
And he's actually about to die. Incredible cast in that movie. Cameron Diaz, Penelope Cruz, Jason Lee, Tilda Swinton. Yeah, check it out. Cameron Crowe. Great film. Then he's in Minority Report, which kind of rules. It looks like shit. I mean, it's one of the ugliest looking movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Shot, I think, kind of similar to Collateral, probably shot on videotape. Just looks awful. But it's really fun, and it's him, and it's Colin Farrell, and he's like fucking around with time and futuristic murder. He's like a cop in the future who can see murders before they happen. Oh my God. Great premise. Again, if you told me today Tom Cruise was making like a future murder movie, I'd be like, brilliant.
I think if you told me Tom Cruise was making anything now that wasn't
the things he does,
the things he does, you'd be excited.
Of course. That's what it's fucking scarcity success. Like,
exactly, yeah.
2003, he's in, of course, The Last Samurai. I think this was my first exposure to Tom Cruise ever, was the poster for The Last Samurai, which is a movie in which he has long hair and a beard.
And plays the samurai.
Yes, but he plays an American samurai, an American guy. Okay. Nathan Algren. He's not playing a Japanese guy.
Right.
He's an American guy who goes to Japan.
That was my next question. Okay.
It's not very good. I've turned it off a few times after trying to watch it.
Is it modern day or is it
No, I
past.
mean, there's no samurai in the modern day. Like, it's set
No, what I
in,
mean
like,
is he a weirdo that's just like a
no,
modern
it's like
samurai?
early. It's like late 19th.
Whenever the samurai were around.
I don't know. Whenever samurai were around, it's not that old. It's set in like times where there was boats and cannons and shit.
Sure.
From what I recall, Gangs of New York kind of times. I could be completely off here.
Yeah, I think you're a bit too modern.
Whatever.
There.
And now we're into Tom does one movie a year, and it's a big cruise vehicle. 03, he does Last Samurai. 04, Collateral. 05, War of the Worlds. Missions 3. Then he does Lions for Lambs, Valkyrie. This is literally one a year every year. Night and Day, Ghost Protocol, Jack Reacher, Oblivion, Edge of Tomorrow, Rogue Nation, Reacher 2, The Mummy, Fallout, and then there's a 4-year gap, Maverick.
Sorry, The Mummy is his worst.
Dead
film.
Reckoning. Yeah, The Mummy probably is his
Mummy
worst
is
film,
significantly worse than Mission 2.
But he does a movie every year up until the gap after Fallout.
I think we have an
and most of them are
idea in our heads that he had a bit of a dead period for a while. But like, listen off there, there's not really...
Valkyrie, Night and Day, Lions for Lambs, that's a dead period. Oblivion is a dead period, but that's a one movie dead period. Like, so yeah, you're right.
He's never gone on a 10-year streak of no hits.
Never. The worst streaks he's on are 4 years. And like Top Gun Maverick is one of the most successful movies ever made.
Yeah.
And he made that at the age of 60, a sequel to a film that came out 35 years earlier. That is one of the great success stories in the history of American film. This came out just after the fucking pandemic. I don't think you could put enough praise on Cruise for how he managed to market that movie to the success that it was in. That was a one-man victory. And I don't think anyone will ever doubt him again after that. I think his films
I think that's got him
infinite
like
adoration and studio trust.
Yeah.
Dead Reckoning immediately underperformed a year later, and I don't think it matters one bit. I think
but
they
again,
were still willing to finance the next one. Sure, but it cost $500 million.
Sure.
They were still willing to finance the 8th mission to infinity, and I think we'll do the same with anything he chooses to make.
Yeah.
Because of the success of
Was Dead Reckoning
Maverick.
the first Mission Impossible to get an Oscar nomination or win?
I believe it was the first Mission Impossible to get an Oscar nomination. Do I remember what that was for? It was for sound. Yeah, some VFX and sound. Yeah,
sure.
But anyway, so like Collateral comes right in the middle of that run anyway, where he's obviously like, who are the cool guys? Who will I work with? I mean, he works with Spielberg a few times, but you've got your Cameron Crowe and your Kubrick, obviously, and you've got Michael Mann in this movie, which was at one point going to be a vehicle for Russell Crowe and Adam Sandler. Now, Shane and I know a thing or two about Adam Sandler in the early 2000s. You can check out our podcast, Adam and Ben, if you want to hear some of those thoughts. But this movie obviously ends up with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. And Jamie Foxx is the winner of the Best Actor Oscar the year that this movie comes out. I need to figure out the chronology, but this film is released in August 2004.
Alongside Ray?
Ray is released that same year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly when. I assume in like awards season. Ray is released in October 2004, and he wins the Oscar in February or March of the following year. So he has he is sort of like a rising star, I guess, of the level where they're about to give the guy the Oscar when this movie comes out, which puts him in a pretty good position to star opposite Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Did you know he was also nominated that year for Best Supporting Actor for Collateral?
Impressive.
Yeah. Wow. So he gets a double nomination that year, lead and supporting. While I don't think that he deserved to win an Oscar for Collateral, it's not a performance I love that much, I do think that I would probably rather him have won an Oscar for Collateral than Ray, a film I have not seen, but looks like the most standard, trite music biopic imaginable, with an added disability element, which I famously cannot stand, where he's playing a blind guy, and the whole movie is just pretending to be blind, and I will not stand that shit.
Yeah, there's a disproportionate amount of Oscar wins for non-disabled actors playing disabled characters.
Yes, and for fucking music biopics.
Yeah,
it's absurd.
He's a.
You want to hear his competition that year for Best Actor?
Yeah, go on.
It's a fun list. Don Cheadle in Hotel Rwanda, directed by the Irish director Terry George.
Okay.
Johnny Depp in Finding Neverland, which is a
Not really sure what that is.
I saw that in the cinema. That is a
Okay.
biopic of Peter Pan author J.M. Barrie, in which Kate Winslet is sick the whole movie.
Great.
He is also nominated against Leonardo DiCaprio in The Aviator. Bad performance. I watched that recently. Not a fan. And Clint Eastwood in $1 Million Baby. Or in his late 70s.
We had that on here. It wasn't.
No, we don't.
Wasn't
We
much
didn't
to
need
it.
that. So in the context of those nominees, I can tolerate the Jamie Foxx win.
Sure.
I guess my issue is that that's the year you could have given an Oscar to Jim Carrey for Eternal Sunshine.
That's true.
Or you could have given an Oscar to Jim Carrey for A Series of Unfortunate Events. Or you could have given an Oscar to
Ben Stiller in one of his 5 films that came
or
out this year.
Ethan Hawke in Before Sunset. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple of great options. But anyway,
Good year, 2004, despite
it's a great movie year. And you've got Jamie Foxx winning for Ray, which is a bit annoying. So Jamie Foxx obviously is not as famous as Tom Cruise, and this movie's not a perfect boy party, but it is.
So you're telling me this film wasn't introduced as Academy Award winner Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise?
No, it wasn't, because it's funny, right, that Jamie Foxx has an Oscar and Tom Cruise doesn't.
Yeah.
But conveniently at the time of this movie, neither of them did.
Sure.
The movie, it is Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx's names both above the title on the poster. There is, however, a poster for this movie that
And it's
just
Tom
doesn't have
Cruise.
Jamie Foxx on it, which
Yeah.
I'm really interested in how they got away with that, because there's one that has them both, and Jamie Foxx is like standing right here, and they just remove him from certain versions of the poster. My
Yeah.
recollection of seeing this poster, and I remember seeing this poster in the window of Extravision, and I think saying to my dad, like, what does that word mean? I had never seen the word collateral before. But I remember it being the version with no Jamie Foxx on it. And I'm so interested in the fact
that image we're looking at now with just Tom Cruise
Yeah.
is always the image that I've seen.
Yeah. There's another one with Fox, but I'm interested in how they've kind of like managed to get Fox
What's the
off the
name
poster.
order on the poster? I assume it's Cruise.
Oh,
Jamie
of
Foxx.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, a Michael Mann film, Collateral. It started like any other night. A terrible tagline. So generic. Oh my God. This movie should have a cool tagline like driving and killing. Like it should have something with like a taxi element to it. Passenger. This movie could be called some shit called like The Passenger very easily. But incorporate that into the... Collateral's a better name. Incorporate that into the tagline.
Cruising down the street.
Cruising and shooting.
Like a fox in the night.
Like a silver fox in the night.
Silver fox in the night.
Anything to say about Cruise's appearance in this movie? I mean, he looks
It gets
great.
a lot of hype, and it's one of his more distinct looks, given that he has grey hair and a grey beard.
He's just never looked like this in anything else.
He hasn't.
It's cool.
I've seen the opinion that this is his best look. I don't think I agree.
What do you think his best look is? Magnolia.
Magnolia. I don't know. I think he looks good in like Ghost Protocol and stuff.
I think he looks terrible in Ghost Protocol.
Really? The long hair?
I do not agree with
Okay,
you.
maybe
I think his best mission look is Fallout.
Sure.
I think... What else is
Again,
Tom
like
Cruise
a lot
look
of
good
the
in?
visual aesthetic issues of this are the fact that it looks like it was shot in videotape. So it does
Yeah.
have a very distinct look.
So this movie has Michael Mann likes to fucking mess around with cameras and shit. I find him a frustrating filmmaker because
Yeah, if he was 30
often-
years younger, he'd be making films on iPhones.
Yeah, a lot of his stuff. Yeah, he's got that like Soderbergh problem.
Yeah.
A lot of his shit seems to just be trying too much at once, and it pisses me off. This film constantly switches between videotape footage and
Digital.
No, and 35 millimeter footage.
Oh, 35 mil.
And you're literally watching someone walk down the street on what looks like a fucking DV tape, and then it goes immediately to a shot of inside a taxi shot on film. It is, or the other way around. It is really frustrating. I don't like when people mess with camera stock in that way. I know I'm in the minority here, but it just gets on my nerves. And I don't like films in the mid 2000s that were shot on digital. I think that 28 Days Later looks absolutely terrible. And what was the other film I referenced to you last night?
Oh.
I think there's a little bit of this in The Bournes, but there's something I was mentioning last night that looks really bad from the mid 2000s, and you can't really watch it anymore. I don't remember what it is.
I'm drawing a blank, but
I don't remember
you
what it
definitely...
is. Yeah. It's a problem for me. But anyway, this is another one of these Michael Mann movies that's like, oh my God, men are so interesting. What if they just hang out and we listen to them?
No, unfortunately, this is the second time I've watched this. I watched this probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The underlying philosophy of the characters is the equivalent of like a 14-year-old.
Absolutely.
There's no like. This doesn't have the depth of like the Magnolia character.
No, not at all.
Like this, it's very shallow. It's very nihilistic. Just we
Yeah.
don't matter. That's why I can kill people because we're just tiny specks in the universe.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if this film is a criticism of it. I guess it is.
I don't think
like,
I don't think it has any ideas. I think
don't
it's
think
just a
so.
movie that looks and feels cool, and that's all Michael Mann needs to do to convince people. And like Miami Vice is an even worse example. 2 years later, reteaming with Jamie Foxx with Colin Farrell, and it's a similar movie, but it's much tougher to get into than this. And it's literally all vibes and no substance. And the people who like it are like men in their 40s who just want everything to be vibes, because I don't think they watch films unless they're stoned, you know?
Yeah.
We're too sober to be watching Michael Mann movies in our house on the TV with the lights on.
We do enjoy our vibes.
We do enjoy our vibes.
And we don't necessarily need.
What's a vibes movie that we like?
That's purely vibes.
Yeah. Because I can't think of any.
Jonathan Livingston Seagal.
Jonathan Livingston Seagal. Yeah, maybe. Like, I don't think we're big vibes movie people. I think that the films we like tend to have a lot of substance.
Like Mission Impossible Fallout's kind of a vibes movie.
Mission Impossible Fallout is kind of a vibes movie.
Considering the script is just written as they go along.
But like there are so many vibes movies that are beloved that I hate. Like Tenet and like Miami Vice.
That's Tenet is neither.
Tenet is a vibes movie. I
but
think
again, not intentionally. I think Tenet
Yeah.
tries to be a movie of substance and it flops majorly.
Yeah.
That tries too hard. Like you have to have a complete disregard for
God or any of the
content.
I guess Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is kind of a vibes movie. I feel like Fincher's made a few vibes movies, but I don't like some of his vibes movies. I don't like The Game.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have.
It is
issues,
quite late at night. We're recording this. Our references are a little bit off this evening.
It's also the election night. You're going to be listening.
Yeah,
to
it is.
By the time,
recording.
by
on
the
the
time
5th
this
of
episode
November.
comes out, they're going to know who the president is.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
So are you a Tom Cruise or a Jamie Foxx supporter in this election?
Yeah. Well, am I a Tom Cruise or Jamie Foxx supporter in this movie? I mean, Jamie Foxx's character is such a fucking dweeb. I kind of just want him to get shot. He plays a character called Max in this movie, who's a guy who's got fucking big round glasses, and he plays the exact same character again in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, except in that movie he's got this like comb over and he's dressed really badly and he's got a stutter and he keeps getting sad that nobody remembered his birth.
Like a Norbert character.
Yeah, he plays a fucking Norbert character in Spider-Man. He gets stung by magical electric eels, turns into Electro, a blue glowing man, and he goes like, "It's my birthday, time to blow out some candles."
Yeah.
And then he lights up New York City with electro bullshit. Jamie Foxx, an actor I think is lacking in talent, charisma, or indeed any appeal whatsoever. I would say this is probably his best performance, which is giving him a lot of... I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt here because he works in the movie. Functional, just about.
I wouldn't go as far as your description. I don't... Why'd you pause that?
I didn't pause anything.
Oh, I thought you paused.
I'm pulling up my list of Jamie Foxx movies to tell you some crap that he's in.
Okay, fine. let me continue. I don't have such a immediate negative reaction to Jamie Foxx. I think he is good in Horrible Bosses as Motherfucker Jones.
He is good as Dean Motherfucker Jones. Don't forget his real name is Dean Jones.
Okay.
Like the beloved Disney actor.
Yeah.
Yes, he is good as Motherfucker Jones.
He also plays...
He plays Motherfucker Jones basically again in Baby Driver,
Yes.
in which he is okay.
Somehow the least cancelled man from the cast of Baby
Incredible.
Driver.
And there are allegations against him, so he is marginally... No, John Hamm is the least cancelled man in Baby Driver.
For now.
John Hamm seemingly a nice man. Jamie Foxx, not so much.
He also I think plays the man Robert Downey Jr. believes his wife is cheating on him with in Due Date.
Oh, he is in Due Date.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in years. Gonna have to revisit that soon for the
Yeah,
podcast.
Oscar-winning actor, kind of reserved for these tertiary comedy roles in
Well,
2010s.
I have a better point to make. He is an Academy Award winner for Best Lead Actor from the last 20 years, who is the host of Beat Shazam on Fox. Like, the man is a fucking embarrassment.
Shot a simple train ride away from where we are.
Exactly, out in Bray.
Yeah.
He is a game show host. Like, this man has a more pathetic career than, like, Josh Gad does, in my opinion, in terms of
disagree.
the work he does. Like,
I think he's where he's supposed to be, and the whole Oscar prestige actor thing was
an blip.
wasn't a blip, but it was an unusual
He's like Black
unusually high peak from. I don't think that was
meant to be Black Neil Patrick Harris, like, and he's.
I think so.
For some reason, he's out here, and people are like,
was he a TV guy before he got into movies?
The second black actor to ever win Best Actor. He was a rapper.
He was a rapper,
but like he was the third maybe black man to ever win Best Actor at the Oscars before
is Mark
Will
Wahlberg
Smith.
The compare?
Yes, maybe Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, but Mark Wahlberg makes more movies where he's the lead than Jamie Foxx does. Jamie Foxx is the 8th guy in Horrible Bosses and Due Date.
Yeah.
I'll read out some other movies that he's in. There's a few real movies on here.
Yeah.
Good movies, okay?
Again, I think yours was a bit of an overreaction.
The Soloist with Robert Downey Jr. where he plays where he does the thing that the thing that certain people do in certain movies.
No, he does the same thing. He plays a semi-disabled musician.
Yes, true, but in that he's like very mentally like not with it. That movie is hot. He's
doing a Jeffrey Rush and Shine performance.
That is a horrible performance. Yeah. He is in.
He's like a homeless man that plays the violin, I think.
Yes,
that is
cello. Yeah.
Cello.
He is, of course, in Django Unchained, which is a real movie.
Yeah.
Crazy that
he's grand in that. I think
he's grand.
I don't think that's bad. I think he's fine.
It's kind of crazy that he's like.
I think he's fine.
The main guy in that movie, and Leo is in it and is not. It's funny. Like,
yeah,
the dynamic is off there. DiCaprio is so much bigger of a star than him.
Yes,
even though he beat him for an Oscar once, that it is kind of crazy.
I kind of.
But it doesn't matter. That's a Black Power movie, so it doesn't matter. Like
DiCaprio and Cruise in this, where they're not.
Yeah.
Essentially the protagonist, but they kind of take over once they show up.
Django's just like Django was obviously offered to Will Smith first, and like you can tell. I don't know. Okay. That whole movie has vibes of like Will Smith.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is like second choice Will Smith.
Yeah, I feel like in almost all of these cases.
But again, got his Oscar first.
True. The year after he does. Oh, sorry. This is probably a performance I like a little bit more than Collateral. White House Down, where he is cast as Action Obama. A good role for him. Mm-hmm. U.S. President James Sawyer has to help Channing Tatum to fight terrorists in the White House when it's under siege. Fun movie. He's very good in it.
Yeah.
In 2014, he is in the following movies: The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Horrible Bosses 2, Rio 2, and A Million Ways to Die in the West, and the Annie remake. I've seen all of those.
Annie was on RT the other day.
Which one? Annie?
Yeah.
That's not terrible. He likes to work with Cameron Diaz. They work together a lot. They're both in Annie, and now they're about to be in a new Netflix movie together called Back in Action, which is her first movie in 11 years.
Oh, it is.
She hasn't worked since Annie.
She's coming out of retirement.
Annie's her last film.
That was 11 years ago.
She's back. Yeah, she's back 10 years.
I
she's back after.
I remember that as being 2018 when that came out.
It's funny how like Cameron Diaz not being in a film for 10 years feels consequential. Because you're like, oh my God, Cameron Diaz has been gone for 10 years. In 30 years' time, I feel like we'll be scrolling her Wikipedia. We won't even notice, you know? We'll jump from Annie to Back in Action.
Yeah, and we'll be like, 10 years.
Yeah, if she keeps working consistently, I feel like that won't jump out as much. He obviously just does a lot of crap on TV as well. Apart from his game show, he also has a Netflix sitcom with his daughter called Dad, Stop Embarrassing Me! ! That should be called Stop Embarrassing Me, Dad. Dad, Stop Embarrassing Me with no punctuation is a terrible name. I think he is...
Again, not to be just continually drawing comparisons to other actors and saying, that's him.
Yeah.
He's not that far removed from Terry Crews currently.
No, he's not at all. And Terry Crews is, I'd say, has far higher approval ratings with the general public.
Yeah.
I think people like Terry Crews more.
Like 6 months ago, Jamie Foxx died.
Yeah, so he had a near-death medical incident. He has not fully discussed the details of it.
No.
Because there is a Netflix special coming out in December where he has been paid a lot of money to talk about this. I was not aware of this.
But there was a lot of confusion at the time where his daughters were posting on Instagram saying, he's fine, stop.
It would have been weird if he died.
It would.
It would have been really weird. Because he's not a wild person. He's so boring. I feel like it'd be really weird if he died because he's never done anything crazy, you know?
He's not like a notorious Hollywood party guy?
Don't think so. He's not like a major drug user or anything that we know of. But anyway, I do think he's taken a big paycheck now to talk about his fucking medical incident on camera, which is very cynical, but like whatever, let him at it. no one's being forced to watch. We'll find out in about a month what happened to him.
If Jeremy Renner can do it.
It's probably just like a brain aneurysm or something. I don't know. We'll find out if Jeremy Renner can do it exactly.
We will.
We haven't said a single thing about the plot of this movie.
No, we haven't. I was going to make this comment earlier that normally we discuss the movie a bit, but the power of Tom Cruise took over and we just could not talk about anything else other than him first.
Well, look, people have seen the movie, I'm sure. Jamie Foxx plays dweeb taxi driver. He has a photo of a private island in his taxi. He picks up a sexy lady, Jada Pinkett Smith. He's like, this is funny that the love interest in this movie is Will Smith's wife. Will Smith's always taking his roles. He is like, take your wife's name out of my damn mouth. He is flirting with this nice lady. She gets out of his taxi. She takes his photo of the island. Then this cool guy gets in. He's like, drive me around all night, please. I'll give you $700. Then that man throws a guy out a window. He falls in the taxi. Turns out his name is Vincent, and he's a hitman. Yeah. And he's going to force Jamie Foxx to go all over L.A. with him all night and kill people.
Yeah, he essentially takes Jamie Foxx hostage.
Yeah, and he's like, drive me around.
Like, drive me around. I've got hits to do.
And Mark Ruffalo has an earring and a shaved head and is very, very sexy in this film and follows them around. And Javier Bardem shows up.
What a range Mark Ruffalo has.
Oh, great actor. Great actor. Fucking Javier Bardem shows up talking about Humpty Dumpty. Pete Berg is in this.
Do you prefer...
Jason Statham plays Airport Man.
He does.
Which is really very weird to turn on a movie and Jason Statham comes on screen.
Is essentially an extra.
Yeah, like you don't see Jason Statham showing up in movies by real directors. It's very weird.
Do you prefer Mark Ruffalo in this or his other 2004 performance in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
Oh, I always forget he's in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So what? He's the co-worker who has an affair with Kirsten Dunst. Or he's not an affair, but he's sleeping with Kirsten Dunst and Tom Wilkinson finds out and he gets mad. Is that his entire role in that film? Or is that Elijah Wood?
Mark Ruffalo, I remember putting the colander on someone's head. That's his job.
Who's jumping on a sofa with Kirsten Dunst while Jim Carrey's sleeping? Yeah. So what's Elijah Wood doing?
I don't know.
Is he Kate Winslet's new boyfriend? Maybe. Oh God, it's weird that they're all in that. What a great film, great cast. Yeah. Anyway, I prefer everything about Eternal Sunshine to this movie. Mark Ruffalo's in an interesting spot. We're not talking about Mark Ruffalo.
We're not. We'll do him another day.
We did him. We did again.
Oh, we did him in the beginning again. Yeah. Listen to the beginning again.
Anyway, anything else to say about Collateral? We sat and watched it for 2 hours. What do we got to say about it?
Tom Cruise is scary, and anytime that man is on screen, you are locked in.
There's some cool stuff in this.
It's a very, very good Los Angeles movie.
Yes, it is. I like all the like billboards and flashing lights and like weird kind of shrill visuals. I like all the scenes that take place in overpass tunnels or like tunnels over the freeway.
Yeah.
Those are spooky. I like
truly the most like terrifying infrastructure to be a part of.
Being chased through one of those.
There's a fun kind of rear windowy bit where Jamie Foxx is looking up at an apartment block of Tom Cruise like scouting out a building while
there's good
Jada hides.
Spatiality in it, I guess. I think it feels like it's made by someone who knows LA like the back of his hand.
I think the pacing of it is pretty good. I think it moves through and has the feeling of the entirety of a night.
Yes, it does, and it goes through a lot of locations.
Typical man fashion has a lot of guns, which are
I am not a big fan of, and they're turned up so loud in the sound mixing.
Yeah.
Apparently the version where Adam Sandler was going to be in it was more comedic and like after hours kind of tone of like what a chaotic wild night.
Yeah.
And not as much of this like cool, slick, scary thing. I would just definitely prefer that version of it, but what can you do?
I don't know.
Tom Cruise wouldn't be in that version probably. So
I think this has its merits and is worth. The score was interesting. It was a bit of a mixed bag of
weird mixed bag of like trumpets and also of horns and also cool synthy.
Yeah.
Synth music, like.
God, we're too sleepy.
It was nominated for the editing Oscar, and I'm trying to see, did Cruise get like any nominations at any awards? He really didn't. Like,
this is a
best
Cruise performance.
Best villain at the MTV Movie Awards.
Pittance.
Can I get a list of who else was nominated for best villain at the 2004 MTV Movie Awards? Give me 1 second now. I feel like this will be a fun list in 2004. All right, so we have got
Jack Black and Envy.
You never know. You might be right. Okay, the winner, Ben Stiller in Dodgeball. Also nominated, Rachel McAdams in Mean Girls, Alfred Molina in Spider-Man 2, and Jim Carrey in A Series of Unfortunate Events.
You know what?
Dare I
every
say
single one of them
the
characters.
best acting category at any awards ceremony ever? Maybe.
Spider-Man got a remake in perpetually. Mean Girls, modern remake. All these characters are coming back. Like as,
Neil Patrick Harris played Count Olaf.
Yeah.
Basically, the only character that hasn't come back is Stiller in Dodgeball, and it's an inevitability.
I feel like he's popped up in something. He's
character?
just a character in meme culture. Like,
Sure. Best movie that year at the MTV Movie Awards went to Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, they were on fire that year.
yeah, big year for the funnies.
We do the box office?
Yeah,
We at that point?
sure.
Who wins this movie? Tom Cruise, obviously.
But he doesn't.
Well,
In what?
he's Tom Cruise.
He wins it in our hearts, and he's
Yeah.
the best performance. But
What is this ever about? Does he win it in our hearts? I feel like that's always the way we answer it.
yeah, the poor man gets no awards.
No, he doesn't. It's awful, and he never will ever again.
He's beyond awards.
Yeah. We didn't look at the respective box office for the two guys. Actually.
No, we didn't. That's a.
I'll look at that quickly. Now, do you think Jamie Foxx can compete with Tom Cruise's box office numbers?
I think
I assume
I
he
think on a
can't.
per film basis, he might sneak it just with the Spider-Man stuff.
Spider-Man stuff, yeah, but he's not in that much Spider-Man stuff. Okay.
yeah, but
Cruise's
I'm on
total
a-
box office 12.7 million. Right?
What a star!
Like those are big numbers. That's like
that's huge numbers for a guy not in Marvel.
Yeah, he's never in a Star
No.
Wars, Marvel, or anything like that. So those are all Tom Cruise movies that are making that money.
Like
so.
Mission is his own, and Top Gun are its own franchise, but they're his.
Yeah.
They're his. Like
Jamie Foxx, a healthy
4?
7.
7.
Pretty good.
Okay, so he's more than halfway to Tom
And you
Cruise.
see, you've got Rio and Rio 2 and
Yeah.
Valentine's Day and
Has Tom Cruise ever done any voice acting?
no.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Foxx is in like 25 movies that made over $100 million. Like, pretty good.
Sorry, what? Sorry, Ben Stiller won Best Villain at the MTV Awards in 2004.
Best villain, yes, he did.
And Tom Cruise saw that and was like, I gotta make Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
This guy.
exactly. Well, him and Ben Stiller, yeah, it felt like them working together was sort of an inevitability because
Mm-hmm.
Ben Stiller does such a good impression of Tom Cruise.
Oh, he does.
And then, of course, on Studio 60, Nate Cordry does an impression of Ben Stiller doing an impression of Tom Cruise.
I think it's Nate Cordry doing that. I think it's the guy from Big Bang Theory.
Oh, sorry, it's Simon Helberg. You're
Simon
right.
Helberg,
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. Apologies to Helberg, a much better actor than Nate Cordry. So this movie opens August 2004. Number 1?
Does indeed.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. Number 2 is a director we like.
Okay. Many of those around.
There are many of those around. This title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. We might have a review here from you. You give this 4 stars with no review.
Okay.
Not sure when you watched it last.
Is it M. Night Shyamalan?
It is M. Night Shyamalan.
It's The Village.
It's The Village.
Yeah, it's a good film.
It's a good film.
Joaquin, Adrian Brody.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun film. Yeah.
Next up, we got another action film this year. This is in
Okay.
its 3rd week, and it's in 3rd place. So I'd imagine this was a big. I think
is
this
it-
was.
is
This
it
the
Denzel?
first- No,
It's the first in a
it's
series.
first in the series.
Born. No. Not Born.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, you always get
It's not the
confused.
first.
No, it's the second. Supremacy.
What's the first?
Identity, 2001.
The Bourne Identity is the first. Yeah.
And
Okay.
the Identity comes out the same year as Ocean's 11. Supremacy comes out the same year as Ocean's 12.
Right.
Ultimatum comes out the same year as Ocean's 13.
Unusual.
Every Ocean's and every Bourne come out the same year. Very weird. Yeah.
Any particular reason for that, or just coincidence?
I think just 3-year cycles of franchises. That's all it is.
All right. Next up,
Yeah.
we have a John Frankenheimer film.
He was still making movies in 2004. You sure it's a John
No,
Frankenheimer
this is
film?
like a-
No, this is the remake of The Manchurian Candidate. John Frankenheimer died many years before this.
Yes, this is
This is the Jonathan Demme remake with Denzel and
Denzel.
Meryl Streep. That I was literally listening to a podcast about that today.
This is a boy party.
Nah, not really.
No, it's a Denzel thing. is
It's not. It's not very good.
Jonathan
The original's
Demme.
great. The original's Frank Sinatra, Angela Lansbury.
it? I could watch that.
It's kind of a fun boy party. That's a good like president Senate movie. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but with brainwashing and
Mm-hmm.
Cuba or what's it called Havana syndrome and all this shit.
Nice. All right. Next up, a film I haven't heard of.
Okay, have I seen it? You've got to type in the name.
I do have to tippy type it. You haven't seen it.
We need to hire a third person to make a letterbox list of the box office, so that you just have the list there of all the
That
films
would,
in letterbox.
or I could just do it in advance.
Yeah, considering the amount of behind the scenes work that I do for this show, I feel like that would only take you 10 minutes a week.
He's lying. We do equal amount of work.
We
if
do,
not,
yeah.
I actually do more work.
You do, yeah.
I do.
I'm going to start prompting you to do that in advance now. I'm going to start sending it to you the day before.
Make a list.
Yeah, just take it 10 minutes on the train.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
We got two women leading this film. 3 even.
3 women, okay.
And I'll give you the male lead,
Yeah.
or the male star.
Okay.
Ron Livingston.
Oh, Jesus.
What was Ron Livingston fourth billed on in 2004?
That could be truly anything. 3 women. Are they young women? Are they old women? Are they famous?
Yeah.
Is this some shit like Laurel Canyon?
We've got Brittany Murphy, Holly Hunter,
Oh,
Kathy Bates.
I have no idea what this is.
This is Little Black Book.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
Have you ever been tempted to look inside?
Sounds absolutely terrible.
Ron Livingston's on the poster.
Ron Livingston's on the poster. That's not a good sign.
Determined to learn about her boyfriend's past relationships, Stacy, who works for a talk show, becomes a bona fide snoop.
Do you know what the DC movies did? They had Billy Crudup playing Ezra Miller's dad. And Billy Crudup said, I don't want to do any more of these stupid movies. So they replaced him with Ron Livingston. Tragic. Low down.
Yeah.
That's such a bummer.
Do you think they went to Kyle Chandler first?
No.
I feel like
they were saving him to play Green Lantern.
They were. Okay, next up this is a film where if the lead didn't get it, Jamie Foxx might have been cast.
So Will Smith's in it.
Yeah.
This movie is Hitch.
No.
Sorry. This movie in 2004, Will Smith.
Mm-hmm.
What? I, Robot.
I, Robot.
I thought that was a November thing. Okay.
Nope.
It came out in Ireland in
It's in
November.
its fourth
I have
week.
very, very sure that came out here in November.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I tried watching that. Maybe I logged it on Letterboxd. I definitely didn't finish it. What's the thing that the robot says? I did not murder him. I did not murder him.
I'm not a criminal. I'm a robot.
Robot's like, I did not murder him. It's Alan Tudyk. Directed by Alex Proyas?
Potentially. I'm not going to look that up.
I think so. Yeah. Boring.
Next up, a 5-star film.
Before Sunset?
Nope.
Eternal Sunshine?
Nope.
There's a lot of 5-star films in 04.
There is.
Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2.
Oh, incredible film. One of the greatest films ever made.
Mm-hmm.
I say with no hesitation.
No, not at all. Next up, 2 boys. One who has some political affiliations at the moment.
Good or bad?
Good.
Mark Ruffalo.
No.
Political affiliation? Like as in he's endorsing people or he's running?
He has worked alongside candidates before.
He's worked alongside candidates before.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Who's a character that has worked under a certain Democratic administration?
Oh, this is Harold and Kumar.
This is Harold and Kumar.
Which one though? Harold and
the one
it's
I
the
think we
first
watched
one.
together.
I don't remember watching one with you. This is Harold and Kumar escaping Guantanamo Bay.
Go to White Castle.
All right, Guantanamo Bay is like 2006.
Mm-hmm.
As the first one. Yes. Did I watch this with you ever?
I'm pretty sure because I wouldn't have put this on my own.
I'm a fan of it.
Neil Patrick Harris is in it, isn't he?
He's in all of them.
Oh, he's in all of them.
I really wanted to love this movie when I was 17. Like I decided one day it was going to be my favorite film, and it's just not quite good enough, but I tried really hard.
Yeah.
They're a really charming pair. I mean, I love John Cho, obviously.
Yeah.
Recent star of Afraid, but they should be better than they are. But the first one's pretty funny. I think the second one might be funnier, though. I can't remember. Funny that they changed the title in this territory to Harold and Kumar Get the Munchies because nobody knew what White Castle was. And they still wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
To change it to Harold and Kumar Go to Five Guys.
Oh, fifth build, David Krumholtz.
Very good. Yeah, nice role for him.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to wrap it up there because
Yep.
the next few aren't that interesting.
All right.
Catwoman, A Cinderella Story, Fahrenheit 9/11.
Catwoman, one of my only half-star rated films.
Really? Just real down there.
It's like, that's a movie where like Halle Berry is like, please don't ever mention it to me again, kind of thing. Like,
was that a trouble on set kind of
that movie is like
film as well?
So ill conceived. It's like, no, it's like, what if Catwoman had to fight an evil makeup company because she's a woman?
Okay,
like,
yeah.
It's like a film made by people who really, really hate women and don't want to.
Is Halle Berry in Swordfish or is she in something else?
Halle Berry is one of the stars of Swordfish, my friend.
Okay.
And we would know if we got that poster printed, put up on our wall.
Oh yeah.
We'd be looking at her.
Oh, that was our
day.
issue with Swordfish.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to our Collateral episode. Please be careful about who you let in the back of your taxi or your Uber.
I guess you don't have much of a choice.
Yeah. Well, if he looks like this and he's this handsome, he probably means trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Mann, please retire. I don't want to watch another one of your films. Thank you.
We will do Tom Cruise again soon.
Yeah, there's so much to
Inevitably.
do there. And of the ones we named, we'll pick one and do it. So, yeah, we'll talk about another half of his career another time. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Visit boypartypod.com. You can follow Boy Party Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And please tell all your friends, leave 5-star reviews, and we'll be back next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.